The carousel ground to a halt with a mechanical groan, spitting out the last battered suitcase like an afterthought. And there it was, empty space where my life should have been. My heart slammed against my ribs as I scanned the crowd again, willing my black duffel with the red zipper to materialize. But it was gone, vanished into the chaos of Madrid-Barajas Airport like a bad dream I couldn't wake from. Madeline Harper, I muttered to the lost luggage clerk, a harried woman with a name tag reading Elena, shoving my boarding pass across the counter. That's me and that's my bag, everything in it. Elena typed furiously, her fingers a blur on the keyboard, but her eyes told the story before her words did. Sympathetic but not surprised. Airports like this one swallow dreams whole. Tourists' wardrobes, honeymooners' lingerie. The random guy's lucky socks from the '98 World Series. Mine. A week's worth of sundresses for a solo trip to Barcelona. My favorite leather journal crammed with half-scribbled poems about starting over. And the one photo of me and my ex, Sarah, that I couldn't bring myself to burn yet. Sarah, who I'd left behind in Seattle 3 months ago, after she decided our 5 years together were just a phase. Like love had an expiration date. Miss Harper, Elena said finally, her accent wrapping around my name like a warm shawl despite the bad news. We file the claim but recovery. Could be days. Maybe weeks. Spain, she is beautiful but logistics? Not so much. She slid a form my way, and I signed it with a pen that skipped like my pulse, fighting the urge to scream or cry or both. This trip was supposed to be my Phoenix moment. 32 years old, freshly single, chasing sunsets and self-discovery along the Costa Brava. Instead, I was stranded in a fluorescent-lit limbo, phoneless, that was in the bag too, charger and all, with nothing but the clothes on my back, rumpled jeans, a faded mariner's tee, and sneakers that had seen better miles. I slumped onto a bench outside baggage claim, the hum of announcements in Spanish washing over me like white noise. Jet lag clawed at my eyelids, but sleep was a traitor I'd outrun. Around me, families reunited in hugs that smelled like home. Couples whispered secrets over coffee from the overpriced kiosk. And then I saw her, leaning against a pillar, scrolling her phone with one hand while juggling a coffee cup in the other, her dark hair cascading like she'd stepped out of a Hemingway novel. She was maybe a few years older than me, early 30s, with that effortless Spanish grace. Olive skin glowing under the harsh lights, green eyes sharp as sea glass, dressed in a crisp white blouse tucked into high-waisted pants that hugged her like they were tailored yesterday. She looked like she belonged here, roots deep in the earth, while I was the weed blown in on the wind. Our eyes met when she glanced up and something in her softened, a flicker like recognition. She set her coffee down and walked over, her steps measured, not pitying. "Perdida?" she asked, tilting her head. "Lost?" "Yeah, that about covered it." "Everything." I blurted, the word cracking like dry earth. "Bake. Phone. Sanity." A laugh bubbled up, bitter and unbidden, and she smiled, a real one, crinkling the corners of her eyes. "I'm Madeline," she said, extending a hand that felt warm and steady in mine. "Madeline Ruiz. And you're American, yes? The accent gives you away." Her English was flawless, laced with that Madrid lilt that made vowels sing. "Madeline," I replied, the similarity in our names hanging between us like a secret. "Just Madeline. And yeah, Seattle girl, first time in Spain. Supposed to be a grand adventure, but..." I gestured vaguely at the carousel, now being hosed down by a janitor like it had personally offended me. Madeline's laugh was low, conspiratorial. "Spain has a way of rewriting plans. Come on, let me buy you a coffee. Real coffee, not that airport sludge. My treat for fellow Madelines." She winked, and just like that, the knot in my chest loosened a fraction. What did I have to lose? My bag was already AWOL. We ended up at a tiny cafe tucked into the airport's periphery. All exposed brick and the rich aroma of espresso that could wake the dead. Madeline ordered for us, café con leche for her, an Americano for me, black as my mood, and we claimed a corner table by the window, watching planes taxi like silver birds. She was a graphic designer from Barcelona, she told me, here to pick up a client who'd bailed last minute. "Freelance life," she shrugged, stirring her sugar with a silver spoon that looked heirloom, full of no-shows and midnight deadlines. "You." "Teacher," I said, blowing on my coffee. "High school English. The kind where kids quote Shakespeare to get out of essays." It felt good to talk, the words spilling like they'd been bottled too long. I told her about Sarah, the breakup that still tasted like ash. The way I'd booked this ticket on a whim because Barcelona promised reinvention. Madeline listened, really listened, her green eyes holding mine without flinching. And now, I finished, I'm basically a vagrant in a foreign country. Not a vagrant, she corrected gently, her fingers brushing mine as she passed the sugar. A survivor. Bags come back. Hearts? They take longer. Her touch lingered a second too long, electric in its brevity, and I felt seen, truly seen, for the first time since the plane touched down. By the time we finished, the sun was dipping low, painting the tarmac gold. Madeline insisted on driving me to my hotel, a boutique place in the city center I'd splurged on, thinking it'd be the start of something magical. It's on my way, she lied smoothly, because Barcelona was 2 hours east, and this was Madrid. But I didn't call her on it. Instead, I let her navigate the snarling traffic, her playlist filling the car with Rosalia's sultry beats, and the occasional Fleetwood Mac for me. We talked about everything and nothing. Her abuela's paella recipe that could cure heartbreak, my student's viral TikTok reciting, the road not taken in drag. Laughter came easy, a balm on raw edges. At the hotel, a charming relic with wrought iron balconies and a courtyard fountain, I hesitated at the curb. Thank you, I said, meaning it more than words could carry. For the rescue. Madeline leaned across the console, her scent, jasmine and sea salt, filling the space. Tomorrow, she said, scribbling her number on a napkin from the cafe. Meet me at the Prado at noon? Art heals, or so they say. Her eyes dared me to say yes, and God, how could I not? I nodded, clutching that napkin like a lifeline as she pulled away. Back in my room, musty but quaint, I showered off the travel grime, wrapped myself in the thin robe, and collapsed onto the bed. The city hummed outside, alive with possibility. My bag was gone, but something else had arrived. A spark, fragile and flickering. Madeline Ruiz with her knowing smile and steady hands. What if this was the rewrite I'd been chasing? Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with carousels and green eyes. Morning brought rain, a soft patter against the tiles, and I woke with a resolve sharper than the espresso I'd brewed downstairs. The Prado it was. But as I dressed in yesterday's clothes, jeans stiff with regret, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd left more than luggage behind in Seattle. Maybe, just maybe, I'd left the old Madeline there too. Noon found me at the museum's grand entrance, the rain having cleared to a crisp blue sky that made the stone lions gleam. Madeline was already there, under the shade of an archway, sketching in a leather-bound notebook. She looked up as I approached, her face breaking into that smile again. You came, she said, as if I'd had a choice. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, falling into step beside her. The Prado unfolded like a fever dream. Goya's dark shadows, Velázquez's royal stairs, the quiet reverence of rooms where time bent. We wandered, her pointing out hidden details, the sorrow in a duchess's eyes, the defiance in a matador's stance. Art's like us, she murmured in front of Titian's Venus and Adonis, where the goddess clung to her lover with desperate grace. We chase what we can't keep. Her words hung heavy, and I wondered what ghosts she carried. But she deflected with a grin, pulling me toward the cafeteria for tapas, patatas bravas that burned just right, albondigas in rich sauce. Over plates we shared stories. Her move to Barcelona at 22 after a family rift. My quiet coming out in a conservative suburb where rainbows were just weather patterns. Love's the real adventure, she said, clinking her glass of Tempranillo against mine. The rest is scenery. By evening we traded the museum for Retiro Park, renting rowboats on the lake as the sun bled pink across the water. I rowed clumsily, splashing us both, and her laughter echoed like bells. In that boat, with her hand steadying mine on the oar, I felt it, the pull, magnetic and terrifying. This woman, this stranger who'd found me in my lowest hour, was rewriting my map. But Spain, I was learning, didn't give without taking. As dusk fell, we parted with a hug that lingered, her cheek warm against mine. Mañana, she whispered. Always, I promised, walking back to my hotel with her number burning in my pocket. The city lights flickered on, a constellation of what-ifs. Little did I know, the stars were aligning for a storm. The high-speed train to Barcelona blurred the landscape into a watercolor of olive groves and terracotta roofs. But my mind was fixed on Madeline's text from dawn. Can't wait to show you the real Spain. Meet at Sand Station 6 p.m. Bring your heart. I smiled at my reflection in the window, the woman staring back less haunted, her auburn hair catching the light like autumn leaves. 3 days in Madrid had been a whirlwind, Madeline's guided tours turning strangers' city into shared secrets. But now the coast called, promising salt air and the kind of freedom that came from letting go. She was there on the platform, waving like we'd known each other lifetimes, her dark waves loose and wind-tousled, a canvas tote slung over her shoulder. Bienvenida, she said, pulling me into an embrace that smelled of citrus and possibility. We piled into her beat-up Renault, top down despite the evening chill, and headed east toward the Costa Brava, the road twisting like a lover's promise. No hotels this time, she announced, eyes on the rear view. My abuela's old place in Cadax. It's got sea views and ghosts, but the wine's good. Cadax unfolded like a postcard Dali might have painted. Whitewashed houses clinging to cliffs, the bay a crescent of turquoise under a sky bruised purple. Madeline's family home was a stone villa perched on the edge, its balcony overlooking waves that whispered against rocks below. Inside it was a time capsule. Faded photos of stern grandparents, shelves groaning with pottery, a kitchen where garlic and saffron hung like talismans. Abuela left it to me, Madeline explained, uncorking a bottle of local vermouth as we settled on the terrace. She said home isn't a place, it's people. Or so she hoped. We toasted to lost things. My bag still MIA. Her abuela gone 5 years from a quiet heart that gave out mid-laughter. Stories flowed with the wine. Her childhood summers here, swimming naked in coves where the water was cold enough to steal breath. My rainy Seattle hikes, chasing fog like it held answers. Under the stars with crickets chorusing, she reached for my hand. Tell me about her, she said softly. Sarah. The one who broke you. I hesitated, the name a splinter. But Madeline's gaze was a safe harbor, so I dove in, the way we'd met at an indie bookstore reading, her laugh like wind chimes, the slow erosion of we into me. She said I was too much, I admitted, voice thick. Too emotional too. Me. Madeline's thumb traced circles on my palm, a silent vow. You're perfect, she murmured, and the world tilted. Our first kiss happened there, tentative as the tide, her lips soft and tasting of vermouth and salt. It wasn't fireworks, it was embers warm and building, the kind that promised to last through storms. We pulled apart breathless, foreheads touching, and she whispered, Stay. Just for tonight. The villa's bedroom was a sanctuary of white linens and sea breeze through open shutters. We didn't rush. Hands exploring with the reverence of rediscovery, whispers mapping vulnerabilities. It was intimacy stripped bare, souls brushing before bodies, a dance of healing rather than hunger. Afterward, tangled in sheets, I traced the curve of her shoulder. What are we doing? I asked, half afraid of the answer. Finding, she replied, her voice a lullaby. Each other. Days blurred into a golden haze. Mornings we'd hike the Cala. Hidden beaches where the pebbles crunched like secrets. Picnicking on manchego and figs she'd picked from the garden. Afternoons, she'd sketch me against the cliffs, her pencil capturing the freckles I'd always hated as constellations. Evenings brought bonfires on the shore, flames dancing as we sang off-key to Joan Manuel Serrat, her head on my lap. My bag's absence faded. Elena had emailed, via the hotel lobby computer, that it might surface in a week, but what did it matter? Madeline was my anchor, her laughter the compass I'd lost. Yet cracks whispered in the quiet moments. She'd go silent staring at the sea, her phone buzzing unanswered. Once I caught her folding a letter, cream envelope, elegant script, into her pocket, her face a mask of old pain. Aches. I ventured lightly one afternoon, as we lounged in a hammock strung between cork oaks. She stiffened, then sighed. Family. My mother's been persistent. Thinks I'm wasting my life here, chasing frivolous dreams. Her air quotes bit. Wants me back in Madrid, married to some cousin's friend. Stability, she calls it. Bitterness etched her words, and I squeezed her hand. Families complicate everything, I said, thinking of my own. Dad's quiet acceptance, Mom's Bible verses slipped into cards like apologies. But Madeline's eyes darkened. It's more than that. Promises I made, back when I was young and scared. She kissed my temple, deflecting. But you're here now. That's what matters. I let it go, but the letter haunted me, a shadow on our sunlit idyll. We drove into Girona one day, wandering medieval streets where bridges arched like lovers' arms, stopping at a gelato stand for scoops of stracciatella that melted too fast. There, amid the chatter of tourists, she bought me a silver bracelet, simple chain with a tiny anchor charm. "So you don't forget the harbor," she teased, fastening it on my wrist. My heart swelled, foolish and full. That night, storm clouds rolled in from the Med, thunder rumbling like distant artillery. We made love by candlelight, rain lashing the windows, her body a refuge against the gale. "I love you," I breathed in the afterglow, the words slipping unbidden, raw as the lightning outside. She froze, then held me closer. "Madeline, I think I'm falling too." But her voice cracked, and in the dark I felt her tears on my skin. Something unspoken loomed, a wave building offshore. The next morning brought clarity, or so I thought. My bag arrived via courier, battered but intact, dropped at the villa door like a prodigal son. I unpacked gratefully, the journal's pages a bridge to the woman I'd been. Sarah's photo tumbled out, and I finally tore it in half, the rip cathartic. Madeline watched from the doorway, her expression unreadable. "New beginnings?" she asked, stepping close. "With you," I affirmed, pulling her into a kiss that tasted of forever. But forever since Spain are fickle. That afternoon, as we planned a trip to Figueres, Dali's Surreal Museum, she got a call. Her face drained of color, and she stepped outside, voice low and urgent in rapid Spanish. When she returned, her smile was forced. "Client emergency. Back to Barcelona tomorrow." My stomach dropped. "Come with me." But her eyes pleaded understanding, and I nodded, swallowing the ache. We drove back at dusk, the coast a blur of fading light. In her tiny apartment above a bakery, smelling of fresh pan and paint thinner, she made paella from her abuela's recipe, saffron threads like gold in the rice. Over dinner, by the flicker of tea lights, she opened up. The family pressure wasn't just talk. "I have a commitment," she confessed, fork paused midair. "An arrangement years ago to keep peace. A woman, Isabella. We're not in love, but promises bind tighter than that sometimes." The world tilted, my wine turning to vinegar. "Engaged." The word choked me. "Not like that. Cultural, familial. She's a friend, but it's complicated." Her hand covered mine, pleading. "This you and me, it's real. I want to end it." Betrayal's first sting was sharp, but her honesty softened it. "Then do," I said, voice steady despite the storm inside. "For us." She nodded, fierce. "I will. Give me time." That night, sleep evaded us, bodies entwined but minds adrift. Outside, Barcelona breathed horns and laughter, the pulse of a city that never slept. I lay awake, bracelet glinting in the moonlight, wondering if time was ally or thief. Barcelona's Gothic quarter wrapped around us like a labyrinth of secrets in the weeks that followed, Madeline and I navigating its alleys hand in hand, pretending the shadows weren't closing in. She'd filed the papers to dissolve her arrangement with Isabella, emails exchanged, calls endured, a quiet notary visit that left her drained but determined. "It's done," she told me one evening in a placa alive with buskers, her green eyes fierce as she slipped a ring onto my finger. Not diamond, but a band of woven gold from a local artisan, symbol of our makeshift vows. No more ghosts. I believed her, or wanted to, the ring a talisman against doubt. We built a rhythm. Mornings in her studio where I'd grade papers on her worn couch while she sketched logos for eco-brands. Afternoons exploring, sipping vermouth in Elborn, losing hours in the Macba's modern sprawl. My return ticket to Seattle loomed like a guillotine 2 weeks away, but Madeline talked of extensions, of me staying, of us. "What if this is home?" she'd murmur over Café Solo, her fingers laced with mine. It felt like home, the way she'd hum old flamenco tunes while cooking tortilla española. The press of her body against mine in the narrow bed. The shared silences where words weren't needed. I sent postcards to my students. Spain teaches us that loss carves space for wonder. My bag, returned, sat in the corner like a relic, the journal filled with odes to her laugh, her touch, the curve of her hip in morning light. Love, I realized, wasn't the absence of pain but the choice to build through it. But Isabella wasn't a ghost so easily banished. She appeared unannounced one humid afternoon, as Madeline and I picnicked in Parc de la Ciutadella. Gazpacho cooling in a thermos, parakeet squawking overhead. Tall and elegant, with raven hair and a sleek chignon and a dress that screamed old money, she strode across the grass like she owned the earth. "Madeline," she said, voice cool as marble, ignoring me entirely. "We need to talk." Madeline's face paled, but she stood, brushing crumbs from her jeans. "Not here, I say. Not now." Isabella's gaze flicked to me, then assessing, cold, appraising. "And who's this? Your American distraction." The word landed like a slap, and I rose, chin lifted. "Madeline Harper," I said evenly. "Her girlfriend." A laugh, brittle and sharp. "Girlfriend? How quaint. Madeline, your mother's furious. The family's humiliated. That dissolution you filed? It's not worth the paper it's on without my signature." She thrust an envelope at Madeline, thick with legalese. "Sign this instead. Keep the peace. Or lose everything." Madeline's hands trembled as she took it, but her jaw set. "I already lost everything once for you. Not again." She tore it in half, the rip echoing louder than the fountain nearby. Isabella's composure cracked, eyes flashing. "You think this is a game? Your abuela's legacy, the villa. It's tied to us, to tradition. Walk away and it's gone." She glanced at me, venomous. "She's using you, Americana. Temporary thrill for her rebellion phase." "Get out," Madeline snarled, stepping between us. Isabella left with a swirl of perfume and disdain. But the damage lingered, a poison in the air. That night in the apartment, Madeline paced like a caged panther. Phone clutched like a grenade. Calls from her mother. Tearful pleas in Spanish I half understood. Honor, duty, the weight of generations. "They want the villa," she explained, sinking onto the bed, head in hands. "Abuela's will has clauses. Familial approval for inheritance. Isabella's family pulls strings. Without it, I lose the only piece of her I have left." My heart fractured for her. The woman who'd given me wings now clipped by chains I couldn't see. "Fight it," I urged, kneeling before her. "Lawyers, courts, Spain's modern. This can't hold." She looked up, eyes haunted. "It's not just law. It's love, their version. I promised Isabella friendship, stability, to shield us both from the whispers. Back when I was 25, terrified of being the disappointing daughter. Breaking it now. It could shatter everything. Including us?" The question slipped, raw and unintended. Her arms wrapped around me, fierce. "Never. You're my truth." We held each other through the night, her sobs muffled against my shoulder, my fingers combing her hair like prayers. Dawn brought fragile peace. We vowed to face it together, consult a lawyer in the morning, reclaim her power. But betrayal brews in overlooked corners. 2 days later, while Madeline met with the solicitor in Gracia, I wandered La Rambla, buying figs from a vendor whose smile crinkled like parchment. My phone buzzed. "A Seattle number, Sarah. Heard you're in Spain. Miss you. Can we talk?" I deleted it, but the ghost stirred old insecurities. Was I Madeline's rebound? Her escape? Doubt festered as I returned to the apartment, finding it empty. A note. "Gone to Cadax to think. Back soon. Love you." Panic clawed the villa, the heart of her pain. I took the train alone, the coast whipping by in greens and blues, arriving at dusk to find the house dark, but her car in the drive. Inside, voices low, urgent from the terrace. I froze in the shadows, heart pounding. Madeline's tone pleading. "That I can't, I say. It's over. Madeline's my future." Isabella's laugh mocking. "Future? She's a tourist, darling. Fleeting as the summer. Sign the papers, keep the villa, keep your family. Or watch it all burn." Silence, then Madeline's voice broken. "I need time. Please. Time." The word echoed my own fears. I slipped away unseen, train back to Barcelona, a blur of tears. Betrayal wasn't Isabella's venom. It was Madeline's hesitation, the crack in her resolve that let doubt flood in. At the apartment, I packed journal, bracelet, the ring she'd given me tucked into my pocket like a scar. A note of my own. "I love you enough to let you choose. Call if it's us." I left it on the pillow, door clicking shut behind me like a period. The airport loomed, my flight rescheduled for morning. I checked into a sterile hotel nearby, the kind with thin walls and regret-soaked carpets. Phone silent, I walked the streets till blisters formed, Barcelona's pulse mocking my ache. Flamenco drifted from a bar, guitars wailing of lost loves. And I slipped inside, ordering sangria that tasted of blood oranges and betrayal. There, in the dim haze of cigarette smoke and clinking glasses, a woman approached, mid-40s, silver-streaked hair, eyes kind with shared sorrow. "Rough night?" she asked, sliding onto the stool beside me, her American twang a lifeline. "Understatement," I muttered, and she nodded, introducing herself as Lena, a painter from Chicago on a sabbatical. We talked till closing, her divorce after 20 years, the canvas that saved her, the way Spain stripped you bare to rebuild. "Love's not possession," she said, clinking her glass to mine. "It's the courage to walk away when it hurts." Her words anchored me through the sleepless night. Dawn found me at the gate, boarding pass crumpled in my fist. As the plane taxied, my phone finally buzzed. "Madeline. Where are you?" "I chose us. The villa be damned. Please." Tears blurred the tarmac below, the city shrinking to a glittering wound. I powered off, heart a battlefield. Choice wasn't hers alone anymore. Seattle welcomed me back with sheets of rain that matched my mood. The Space Needle a blurred needle in the gray as my cab splashed through puddles. Jet lag hit like a freight train, but worse was the hollow in my chest. Madeline's text piling up unread. I ended it for good. Signed away the villa. Come back. Photos of the notary stamp, her face gaunt but glowing in a selfie by the sea. I scrolled them in the dark of my apartment, the one Sarah and I had picked for its view of the Sound, now just echoes and unpacked boxes. Forgiveness felt like a foreign language, one I wasn't sure I wanted to learn. Work dragged me upright, stacked essays on The Great Gatsby. Irony not lost as I graded dreams deferred. My students noticed the change. "Miss Harper, you okay? You look like you fought a dragon and lost." I laughed it off, but inside the dragon was Madeline's hesitation, Isabella's shadow, the fear that love was just borrowed time. Evenings I walked the waterfront, fairy horns moaning like unanswered prayers, the bracelet still on my wrist a quiet rebellion. 2 weeks in, Lena emailed, her Chicago number from the bar scrawled on a napkin. "Spain misses you. So does she. Don't let fear write the ending." Attached was a painting. Cliffs like Kodak's, 2 figures on the edge, hands outstretched but not quite touching. It hung above my desk, a dare. Madeline's calls went to voicemail, her voice a lifeline I couldn't grasp. "Madeline, I chose wrong in the moment but right in the end. The villa's gone, sold to strangers, but you're my home. Please." Each plea chipped at the walls I'd built, memories flooding. Her laugh in the rowboat, the anchor charm glinting in firelight, the way she'd whisper my name like a poem. Fall turned to winter, leaves carpeting the paths in crimson regret. I dated once, a barista with kind eyes and a shared love of poetry. But her touch felt like placeholder, my heart adrift. Christmas came, Mom's fruitcake and Dad's awkward hug, their questions gentle. "That trip, did it heal you?" I nodded, but the ring in my jewelry box burned. Madeline's gold band a vow unclaimed. New Year's Eve, alone on my balcony with a glass of cheap kava, I finally called. The line crackled across oceans, her hello? Tentative, hopeful. "It's me," I said, voice cracking. Silence stretched, then her sob raw, relieved. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered. "You almost did." We talked till dawn, her time, her battles, the family estrangement, moving fully to Barcelona, starting a co-op with artist friends. "No more arrangements," she vowed. "Just us if you'll have me." I didn't forgive easy. Trust rebuilds like cathedrals, stone by stone. But humanity whispers that we're all flawed mosaics. Madeline's fear no villain, just the scar of survival. "One condition," I said finally. "I come to you. But we build slow." "Any speed," she breathed. "As long as it's forward." Spring bloomed and I boarded another plane, not fleeing but chasing. Barcelona greeted with jasmine in bloom. Madeline at arrivals with wildflowers and that smile, tentative now, earned. We didn't rush. Coffee dates in placas, walks where hands brushed before holding. The villa was a memory, but she showed me a new cove, a pebble beach where we skipped stones and promises. Months wove us tighter. I taught online, she designed murals for community centers. Conflicts came, my homesickness, her lingering family barbs, but we faced them head-on. Therapy sessions in a sunlit office where tears watered growth. Betrayal's scar faded to silver. A reminder that love isn't flawless. It's chosen daily. One golden afternoon on the Costa Brava, not Cadaqués but a neighboring shore, we stood on a terrace much like the one in my dreams, waves crashing below. No letters, no ghosts. She knelt, not with a ring but a simple shell iridescent, from the sea that had brought us together. "Marry me?" she asked, green eyes steady. "Not in papers but in us." Tears came hot and healing. "Yes," I said, pulling her up, our kiss a seal against the wind. We wed in a quiet ceremony, Lena officiating via video from Chicago, my parents beaming remotely, her chosen family toasting with kava. No grandeur, just vows exchanged under olive trees, the kind that bent but never broke. Spain with its fierce beauty and hidden pains had taught us. Loss carves rivers through stone, but rivers lead to oceans, vast, connective, eternal. Years later, with a daughter named Elena after the baggage clerk who'd started it all, we'd tell her the story. How a lost bag led to found hearts, how betrayal's storm cleared to this sun. Human, messy, redemptive. And in the quiet nights, Madeline's head on my shoulder, I'd whisper, "Everything changed," grateful for the rewrite.